Next up for Vincent after Laura was the 1944 film The Keys of the Kingdom, another in the line of religious-themed films in which Price would appear. The film stars Gregory Peck as Father Francis Chisholm, who is being investigated by the church to discover if he is too old to continue running his parish and should possibly consider retirement. As the investigating priest turns in for the evening, he notices a journal on the shelf by his bed. This is Father Francis's personal diary, and the bulk of the movie is told through flashback as the priest reads through this journal and we learn of Francis's path to becoming a priest and his adventures afterwards.
Nothing could have been more remote from the life I have lived than the beginning of it.
Vincent plays Father Francis's childhood friend Angus Mealey, who is also studying to become a priest. Personality-wise, Angus and Francis couldn't be more different. Francis is quiet and unassuming, where Angus is loud and ambitious. Angus quickly climbs the ladder of succession to the church, attaining the rank of Monsignor and eventually bishop. Francis, meanwhile, struggles to maintain a parish and eventually is reassigned to a missionary outpost in China, where he flourishes, despite all manner of setbacks and adversities, establishing a church and healthy congregation. This was only Gregory Peck's second film, and he earned an Oscar nomination for Best Actor for his performance in it. Vincent isn't on screen for much of this film, appearing only briefly at the beginning of the movie and then again later in the film for a total screen time of just over 10 minutes in this 2+ hour-long movie. Vincent's quite good in the few scenes he has, however, especially late in the film when he visits Father Francis's monastery. His arrogant nature contrasts sharply against Father Francis's humble demeanor, especially in this scene at the table where Vincent haughtily refers to the Chinese as natives.
You know, I must admit China fascinates me, and I disagree violently with those of our world who still regard the Chinese as an inferior race. Truly, there are no limits to the benefits of a belief in God and plenty of soap and water.
Your record's been truly remarkable, Angus. I understand you founded 2 new missions in Japan and a native seminary in Nantou.
Yes, and I'm happy to say that all 3 are flourishing. Unfortunately for you, however, Francis, they've put quite a strain on our financial reserves. I can't see how you're going to rebuild your church. I'm afraid the society cannot let you have the money.
I haven't asked for it.
Now, if only you had been more successful with some of the better class Chinese, the rich merchants. If only your friend Mr. Chia had seen the light.
Well, he hasn't, and he's given most generously. I'm not going to ask him for another penny.
Well, that's your own affair. But I must tell you frankly, Francis, that on our charts at headquarters, I'm sorry to say that your convert rate is the lowest.
I suppose missionaries differ in their individual capabilities.
Oh, surely no one doubts your capabilities, Francis. It's just in the way you do things. Living personally in such poor style, eating in the kitchen and all that. Well, you ought to impress the natives, make more of a show.
But the Chinese hate that kind of ostentation. And priests who practice it are regarded as dishonorable.
You refer to their own low heathen priests, I presume.
Heathens are not always low, just as Christians are not always high. Many of their priests are good and noble men.
Well, have it your own way.
This was the second film in which Vincent appeared with his first wife, Edith Barrett. She was also in The Song of Bernadette. In this movie, they even get to share a scene, although it's a little bit odd because she's playing his best friend's aunt, a much older lady. In real life, Edith was older than Vincent, but only by 4 years.
Sure you go.
Hello, Francis. Are you sure you have the tickets? Hello, Willie. Hello, Angus. You and Francis better get aboard. First thing you know, we'll be standing here talking and you'll miss the train.
The Keys of the Kingdom was directed by John Stahl, who Vincent had worked with previously in The Eve of St. Mark, and would go on to work with once more the following year in Leave Her to Heaven. Overall, The Keys of the Kingdom is a successful, though somewhat slow-paced picture that features an outstanding performance from Gregory Peck in the lead role. It also features an early screen appearance from Roddy McDowall as a young Father Francis. Next up for Vincent was the 1945 costume period piece, A Royal Scandal.
Well, I shall never be able to fathom the Oriental mind. It's inscrutable, positively inscrutable.
years, I've haunted the antique shops of Europe, searching for antiques to breathe life into the rooms of my own home. At last, here at the Antique Guild, I've found the largest selection of antiques at frightfully reasonable prices, arranged in beautiful room settings. Antique hunting is no longer an endless search through back alleys and dusty shops. You'll find true value at the Antique Guild, prices that won't scare you.